Hello everyone, my name is Deckerlink, the trained unprofessional, and welcome back to Regal Tales. On the last episode we just got started and this game looks really fucking cool, so I'm really looking forward to getting back into it. So, here's the choice that we just saw in the last episode. I haven't looked at the text below, but I want to see what it is, so let's take a look. After an hour of riding, Naya halted once they were out of the view of the fortress. Everyone behind her stopped dead in their tracks. Naya leaps off her horse and desperately looked for something to focus her rage on. To her demented delight, she saw a tree, a boulder, or the sky. I don't know how she would take her anger out on the sky. That would be very strange. I am curious to see what it says when I choose the sky. Naya let out a primal roar. The pure anger, the anguish, the desperate despair dwelled in her roar. All of it fueled the power behind it, to which even the ground and air trembled. I know how it's spelled, Hyena Lover. I don't know if it's pronounced with a solid J or with a soft J. If it was pronounced with a soft J, it would be Naya. Or Naja, if it was a hard J. Or with a silent J, it'd be Nya. She began to pace in circles as if trapped in her own mind. She snaps back to her horse and wields a spear like a mad woman. Fear and concern haunted every member of the tribe as they watched their chieftain lose herself. Or loose herself. However, concern was all squelched as Naya aimed her spear towards her own people. Without a warning, Naya threw a spear overhead. Everyone in front ducked for cover, but the spear was far too high and had gone already to be of concern. Every spectating eye was glued on the spear now, seeing where it was heading. A moment passes, the spear began to fall back down, bringing a body-shaped figure down with it. Somebody was spying on them. Naya knew it, and she had a feeling just who. Zutta! Take your men and go handle that damn spy. Do whatever you like with it afterwards. Skin it, gut it, stick its head on a pike. I want it to be a damn message to those fucking lords back there. Zutta nods and waves his men down to hand orders out. Naya's fist began to tremble. The rage within begun to engulf her body and soul. Grah. They call us savages. They call us primitives. Expendable pawns! Naya begins to go into a frenzy fit, fighting the air and lashing out at the top of her lungs. They take everything and find no empathy for the soldiers! For us! They took my son! She prowls into the group, pointing out to everyone in anguish. They took your Maska, your Rai, and your Lear. They took their lives and felt no loss to them. They're all just laughed. The group stares at her in silence, feeling the weight of her words burrow into them. She started to choke up with tears beating down her muzzle. 5 years! 5 fucking years we've been fighting their battles, doing their dirty work, and still we are seen as the grunts to those highborns. Naya glared out into the direction of the fortress and points out vigorously towards it. They sit on their ivory thrones, claiming all of our glory, all of our sacrifices in the name of their meaningless titles, their bullshit legacies with no work put in. Naya turns to her men. She snarls and spits at the very thought of those highborns. They wish to craft this world in their image, legacies filled with false heroes and pitiful parades showing off their glorious military might. Everyone scoffs in disgust at the notion. And we were supposed to accept it? 'Cause they have special blood? Naya takes a stone and tosses it in the fortress's direction, disappearing into the night sky. I'll be damned if history gives them that pleasure, let alone this world allows them that privilege. If anything's going to be remembered about this accursed war, it's that every man, woman, and child who fought to survive, not those pieces of shit. The group of warriors start to roar up a storm along with their monologue. This war, it's nearly at its end. I can taste it in the air, and no kings, queens, or barons will steal away the glory. The collected roars of the group grew louder and barbaric to her decrees. Naya perches herself up on a hillside while addressing her men. I'll hang myself before I allow you all to be forgotten after the end of the war. To never have your name remembered after all you've made of yourselves in battle. We're Shashkra! For every babe we birth, a legend gets born. It is our right in life to be one. Jesus. The clansmen began to chant and bang their weapons in an uproar, marveling at their leader. Naya points to the setting sun. The Emperor's on the move. God, why am I so terrible at reading right now? Right now, like I'm never not. The Emperor is on the move, and we'll be the first to greet his royally groomed ass. I'll personally will take his head and show this pathetic nation who the true victors are, and who to never trifle with. The group cheered in a massive roar for the chieftain. They eagerly chant Naya's name. Who are we to this world? Are we pawns? The troops yelled, no! We are warriors! We do not breed pushovers. We are the Shaka Khan. The world will remember this day. The day when it was a Shashkaran that exposed the Emperor. It was a Shashkaran that dragged his tail out of his hiding hole. And it was a Shashkaran that delivered a fatal blow to this war. The militia of animal warriors burst out in savage roars to the heat of their leader's words, only to be snuffed out as Naya shouts, now get to bed! We have a long march ahead of us. Tomorrow we will claim what is rightfully ours. Everyone in the group takes heart to the order and began dismounting from their horses and set up camp. Naya swaggered over to the female vulture and conversed with her in earshot. How far has your scouts tracked him?
Only a 2-day march, Naya. One if the horses keep up.
Good. Naya readies herself to move on before the female vulture blocks her path.
But my scouts tell that his formation is large. We will be we might be talking siege weapons. Probably the only reason they're going so slow. Naya gives the vulture a thoughtful look. Doesn't matter one way or the other. From what I have planned, we'll get to him before he even sees them. But if they do, what then? We're on a high hit list with the Empire wants us out of the way. We're the only true threat to the Empire. If something happens to us, our people, they might. The vulture loosed sight of her word as Naya draped a comforting paw on her shoulder. She was rather relieved at the sight of her leader's reassuring gaze. Nothing is going to happen to our people. We'll get out of this on top. Where are we? What are we again? The female vulture creaked out a small smile and nods. Naya firmly stares at the vultures at eye level, pressing a clawed index finger into the bird's chest lightly. Just make sure it's us, and only us, that knows about his whereabouts. The vulture nods and flies off, leaving Naya alone to oversee her men. And now it is nighttime. Silence swept over the nightly air within the makeshift campsite, with only the light padding of chatter of guards and the crackling sound of bonfires breaking the peaceful night. Naya rested on a nearby tree branch, her right leg arched and arm resting over it, while her left dangles off the branch, oversees the camp before gazing over a crescent moon. Naya closes her eyes, lost in deep thought as she clutches her fist after reflecting everything from the day. No matter how badly she wanted to, crying wasn't an option for her. For Shashkaran, you live in the present. To never look back, never say die, and never look back as a warrior cry, and dwell in the past. This was what she was brought up on, and as the leader to the entirety of the Shashkara, she needed to hold strong. But still... Oh, no! Magina.
Be nice. Naya ears perks up. Her eyes dart out to the voice. Under the tree, a 7-year-old lioness peered up from the tree with concern. Magina! I don't... Migana? What do I don't... How do you guys think we should say this name? Migana, Mygana, Magina, Mygina? I'm not trying to make a joke. I really don't know how the fuck that name would be said. Lewis. Call her Lewis? Lewis, what are you doing up? Naya reaches down and uses her tail as a rope for, I guess, Lewis to climb up to her. She embraces her tightly in her lap.
I couldn't sleep. I've been having bad dreams.
Of your brother? Lewis nods, looking up to her mother.
Why did he have to die like this? I thought we were safe under the low-cup banner.
Naya rubs the back of her daughter's head in soothing comfort. This war brings out the worst in others, Lewis. Fucking Lewis! Even cowards will desperately do anything to survive. Even if it means... Naya paused. The sorrow she desperately tried to hold back filled her eyes. Even chokes on her words. Balling her fist up, her nostrils start flaring up from her seeping rage. It quickly subsides when Lewis chimes in.
It's not far.
Magina? I guess it could be like Regina. It'd be Magina. Magina. Magina, Gina, Gina, Magina, Gina, Gina, Magina, Gina, Gina, Magina, Magina, fuck.
I know, dearie, I know.
Naya lightly licks up on Magina's forehead before hugging her. But Mommy is gonna end this war once and for all. Magina, Magina, Gina, Gina, pushed away with tears in her eyes.
But that's what I'm afraid of, Mom. What if you can't?
Magina looked away from her mother, too ashamed now to show her doubt to her mother.
They say the Emperor is part dragon, that he breathes fire and tears his foes in two, that...
Naya rubbed Magina's cheeks to soothe her worries away, giving her a comforting smile as her daughter holds onto her paw.
I don't want to lose you, too.
A solemn frown curves down Naya's muzzle before it snaps into a sly smile. What, you don't think I can beat some pansy highborn? Magina perked her gaze up to her mother, unsure of how to react. This was her mother, after all, but the eerie sense of dread had already lost all sense of hope for her.
Huh?
If he's anything like the shit stains we follow, it'll be a cakewalk, Magina. Magina bit her lip in concern.
But...
Naya holds her daughter tenderly in her shoulders and gazed softly to her. Did you forget who your mother is? It would have to be the end of the world before I fell to some pesky highborn. Naya cackles lightly to ease the tension for her daughter and jokingly gestures around. Well, if he's anything like our royal pains, the only action he's ever had in his life would be grooming his own balls. That's something you say to your daughter, isn't it? Ha ha. Magina cracks a smile after whipping a tear away and giggles.
Sniffles. Sounds pathetic if he's part dragon.
Naya lightly drapes a muscular arm around Magina's neck and pulls her back into her lap. She extends her black claws out in front of her daughter. Well, it'll be good to know that he polished them at least, because once I take his head, I'm going to take them as well. I'll give you something to play with when we travel back home. Ha ha ha. That's fucking brutal and disgusting. Magina lightly elbows her mother with a gleeful laugh.
Mommy!
Naya laughed along with Machina, hugging her tightly whilst nipping at her daughter's ear in response. What, I suppose I can just pin them to his head instead once it's on a pike, ha ha. Machina snickers along with her mother as she rests up against her. Maybe put some bells on them, make them jingle when we parade it around our village. Ha ha ha, that's my girl, excellent idea, Machina. That's thinking like a chacaran. Naya and Machina laughed in each other's comfort. Machina faced outward in her mother's lap, staring at the moon while wrapped in Naya's tone arms. I hope you win right away, Mom, and this can all end all of this soon. Naya sighs softly, staring down at her baby girl, licking the back of her head. Hope. That's quite a gift to have, Machina. It's not a powerful thing if not a powerful thing to possess. Machina sighs tiredly as she hugs her mother's arms. Giving others hope is the most sincere way of having trust built on you. Not only do you give others something to look forward to in the future, but also carry their dreams, their goals, their life with you when you give them hope. Naya lightly grooms the back of Machina's head, but it can even be the most devastating weapon to have as well. Machina stared up at her mother. It's one this to give hope, but it's another to take it, to rip it away from them. All of the dreams shatter before them, humiliating them and leaving them in a mess of confusion before reality finally hits them. Naya extends her arm up, baring her claws. You dangle hope in their face and crush it in front of them, crippling them as their hopes and dreams are lost. That, Machina, is something only deserving of to your hated of enemies. Sounds pretty cruel, Mom. Naya coiled her arm back around Machina and purrs. Nonsense, it's how I met your father, after all. Machina tilts her head up in confusion. What? Naya starts to rock Machina back and forth in her embrace. Machina, Machina, oh, I love Machina. I give everything that I have for Machina. Machina. VeggieTales, anyone? Okay. I thought he defeated me in a duel. When he went for a finishing blow, I countered him and finally showed him just how much I was holding back. You should have seen the look on your father's face when I did. Ha ha! He looked so adorable, frustrated and bruised up. And he took you as his mate even after humiliating him like that? Why would he do that? What makes you think he settled for me? Ha ha! Here's the thing. When you see something you like, don't pussyfoot around it and wish it to happen. You gotta take life by the balls and wear it down until it's yours for the taking. You'll do the same when you find yourself a mate someday as well, I'm certain of it. Naya boops Machina's nose lightly as she giggles softly before drifting off to sleep. Whispers into ear.
Till then you can give me your hopes and dreams, my precious little moonlight.
Silhouettes of Naya and Machina meld with the tree as they face the moonlit sky. A polished desk sat in a center of a lavish imperial tent, lined with war trophies, weapons, and trunks full of books. There sat the Lion Emperor, Solaire Valar, clad in black and red armor with a cape lined with red and gold. His long, well-kept black hair hugs his head down to his shoulders. The Emperor scribbled down notes at his desk while eating his morning breakfast fruit. His head perked up when he heard the sound of war horns being sounded from his own camp. A large blue-furred bison, decorated in iron armor, invites himself into the tent. Panic dripped on his face.
My lord, an enemy war party has been spotted from the east. They're heading this way.
The Emperor turns from his chair with a puzzled look in his face. What banners are they carrying?
It's Zazzle! The party is massive!
The Emperor knocked his chair away as he stood and glared towards the battle camp. Each faction was on the map and was represented with coins.
How the hell did those bloody savages get this close to us? Well, that's the weird part, sir.
The Emperor dashes out of his tent. Solaire's tent sat atop a hilltop from where he saw his men scrambling about. Oh shit. He trots over to a neighboring hill being used as a scouting post to see the situation himself. He peers out into the morning sun and spots a small mass in the distance.
It looks like they're walking towards us at the same rate they're going. What? What? Perhaps they don't know about us being here.
If they didn't, then what bloody horn blood probably tipped them off. I don't find that would have mattered either way, sire. Standing to the right stood a slimly built harpy eagle dressed in a formal button-up military uniform. His ruby-red feathers ruffle his head whilst he peers into a bronze telescope. Looks as though they're ready for a skirmish. If that's the case, Lieutenant, get the ballistas armed and ready. Set them out around the perimeter in case they ambush us. The Emperor's words get cut off as the screeching of the hawk piercing through the camp's commotion. A small group of hawk soldiers swooped down to land, and the head of the group dug his talons into the ground as he slid across the dirt. Wearing a shimmering plaited gown of silver and blue threading, a navy blue feathered male hawk greets Solaire with an arms shake. I came as soon as my scouts reported in, Solaire. What trouble did you get yourself into this time? Shrugs anxiously. You tell me, you hawks are the ones with the better eyes than us. They all face out to the incoming war party. They're rather, to put it lightly, odd. The formation is all over the place. They have aviators to scout us, but do not use them. And they have archers, but dared not attack us. They simply ignored us. Perhaps they came to surrender. General Pax stares intensely into his telescope as they converse. Nothing all of the defense equipment is in front of the party, archers right behind them. He found it curious how the Shashkara, the battle-hardened war clan, held no expression to fight on their faces. His brow arches once he spots the head of the one leading the pack. That might be further from the truth, my lord. The feathered general hands the Emperor the telescope, directing his gaze to the center of the group. A massive lioness heads the party while carrying a burnt orange banner with a blood-red moon with claws etched in. The Emperor pulled the telescope away from his eye with a baffled look splattered across his face. I had no idea we can grow that big. Naya's clan had reached the edge of the forest. They halted their advance and had grouped into one big wall of metal and muscle. Naya herself squatted down with her banner beside her. Zota rode on horseback in front of her to relay commands. A crude smirk curls over her lips as she is greeted with the sight of a glimmering knight bursting out in the forest on horseback. Zota holds his arms out in the halt to the clan from attacking the knight. The knight finally reaches them at earshot.
This is as close as you are allowed to come near His Majesty's army. You may discuss your terms of surrender here.
Every clansman, including Naya, howled in laughter towards the knight's decree.
Oh, we're willing to talk, all right. Just not to some scrawny tin can. Tell His Majesty we're here for a face-to-face discussion only.
The scrawly, how dare you? Have you any jest as to whom you are addressing?
A dim-witted look hung over Zota's face. He looks to his fellow tribesmen for advice, but no one here knew any better. No, not even Naya seemed to show any concern. Deep down, however, she was loving every second of this. Toying and making fools out of the elitist like the Empire was a simple pleasure in life for her.
The Emperor's most trusted emissary is with the true liaison. A pact towards my word and a pact towards his. Oh boy, you're one of these characters, huh? Sigh. Fine. And just who might your shiny messenger boy be? My simple friend may refer to me as Sir Jerry.
Oh, Jesus. In the heat of this build-up, Jerry swooped his head down out of his helmet to reveal his face. His scruffy gray hair pops out of place. His gray tiger fur plummeted with the rising sun. Stunned silence swept over the clan after the mention of his name. Zeta broke the silence by preaching to his people.
My friends, my companions, I ask you to bow your heads imminently. We are graced by Jerry.
A collective roar of laughter burst through the field from the tribe. Even Naya was found rolling on the ground in laughter. Sir Jerry found little amusement at this. He simply brushed us off as simple-minded barbarians laughing at their own petty jokes. Grr. After a good, hearty laugh, Naya cued this as her time to step in. She volts up and leaped to her feet, now towering beside her banner. Carrying her colors with pride, she strode over to Jerry. At first glance, Jerry didn't see much of a threat over Naya once she stood from afar. As she starts to get closer to him, her true size starts to show. He became awestruck at her massive build. Naya approached along the side of him now. To his bewilderment, she was still staring him down, regardless of him being on horseback. She was massive, powerful, and wildly alluring to him. A hint of a blush starts burning across Jerry's cheeks. He was at a loss for words after being strucken with frightful and lewd thoughts of the lioness before him. It was only after Naya staking her banner to the ground he came to. Do you speak for these people, madam? A crooked smile carved its way across Naya's maw. She could easily tell that this was what was going through Jerry's mind right now. Throughout history, Shashkaran women have been notorious for using their female assets as a personalized weapon to charm the simple-minded. Jerry was no exception. Flirt with him, act endearing, or give him the Shaghizian charm, aggressive. How should she approach this? What do you guys think? People are saying flirt. I guess they do have a history of that, so here we go. From where his eyes were staring at, keeping his full attention wasn't going to be difficult for her. Already, she knew Jerry would be putty in her fingers. Gripping the shaft of her banner close to her side, Naya knelt down to greet Jerry's wondering eyes once more. Her own fingers fluttered gleefully with his adoring smile brushed over her face. I do. I am Naya of Shashkara, and I'm here to gain an audience with your emperor. She leans forward and plants a colossal paw on his shoulder blade, heaving her chest out towards him. Her robust hips arched out for him and gaze on as well. Her tail sways hypnotically from side to side. So could you be a dear and beckon him for me, please? Oh, poor Jerry with his fucking anime hair. She could feel the young tiger shaking in his armor. She could even feel his heartbeat racing through his shimmering plate mail. As much as we'd enjoy peace talks, His Majesty isn't here. But if you wish for a ceasefire and wait for a message to be delivered, between the times Jerry tried to act professional, Naya took full advantage of that moment. Distracting him with gentle caresses to his shoulder, her tail lightly swatted the ground behind her. There was a rhythm going on to her swats, a rhythm known well to her people. During diplomatic exchanges, the Shashkarans devised special cues with their tails to hint towards their men. Each cue varied depending on how negotiations went. In this case, all her tribesmen saw what she wanted them to do. Lusty. Naya broke him off by leaning temptingly close, her eyes widened with pools of affection sprinkling out. Just how long are we talking about, sweet knight? My people have traveled a great distance to see him. The gray fur around Jerry's face bleeds into a blistering shade of pink. Dint. An audible clash of metal on metal could be heard between Jerry's legs. His own chainmail tightens, causing him to squirm uncomfortably under Naya's paw. A devious smile crept over Naya's paw as she sprang at this young knight's needs. She brushes her fingertips to the back of his neck and teasingly pulls at the scruff of his fur, toying it with her thumb while cooing. Then again, since you're already here,
We could just use this, we could just take you in as a prisoner of war, keep you in our company while we wait for the Emperor to show up, She directs his gaze with hers and shows her clan behind him. A majority of the front lines were now female. Women of all race and sizes gleefully wave and longingly smile towards Jerry. Some even loosened their armor to be more revealing. Jerry shivered and squirmed timidly while the lioness nipped at the back of his neck. His tail fidgets uncontrollably at how badly it ticked him down to the bone. It was starting to get hot on his armor while Nia essentially tortured him. Oh, good gods. Gods? Nia revealed in Jerry's response, toying with his confusion once more. She scoops up his head into her chest. More solemn tone mocks from her. Oh, by the gods, who am I kidding? A noble knight such as you wouldn't endure such an unjust fate. You are the emissary to the Emperor, after all. And what would it say about us? I'm sure someone like the Emperor appreciates his diligence towards him. We should do just that. Right. Now go. Speak on our behalf. We'll be waiting for you, Sir Jerry.
Jesus Christ. Before Jerry has time to respond, Nia leapt behind him and swat the rear of his horse. Jerry holds on for dear life as his horse while it bolts off. Nia twirls to face her tribe. A devilish grin sprawled over her maw and cackles out. Keep your weapons out, sisters. If that was what passes for the Empire's best, this war's climax will be ours for the taking. He'll be taking some climaxes, I'm sure. The entirety of the group hollered full-heartedly. If the Empire could be humiliated in such a way, this war finally shined a sliver of hope for them. And just how will Jerry do at conveying this? We will see in the next episode. Thank you all very much for watching this episode of Regal Tales. Certainly been an interesting one. And I speak for the voices in my head when I say until next time, fare thee well. Bye, everyone! I didn't even do on the next one, because I don't know what's going to happen on the next one. I don't even know why that's part of the outro. I play all these games for the first time. How am I supposed to know what the fuck is happening on the next episode? Why? What? Why? What the fuck? Man.
Gotcha.
Put on enough perfume? My god. No? Oh, you're just trying to mask the fact you didn't take a shower? Yeah.